Reverend Gary Davis, he was a virtuoso guitar player, maybe the virtuoso guitar player of the folk revival. He was originally recorded in the 1930s more as a blues and gospel singer, which was just the reality of recording music during that time. But upon his rediscovery, Davis was able to show us how much of an all-arounder guitar player he really was. Slow drag, also called Cincinnati flow, is one of the pillars of the American ragtime guitar. Basically just kind of like a theme followed by some kind of improvised variation or like lick, and each part has its own unique turnaround. We've recorded several versions over the years, but the version we're going to check out today comes from this video. It's a clip from an amazing 20-minute session, and the main reason I like to use this video is because you can watch what's going on in his hands on this palatial Gibson SJ200, and this version is just incredible. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you two variations and licks as well as a couple of these turnarounds, and that's honestly enough to spend the next couple months on. I've been working on this tune for like 10 years, and so don't worry, it won't take you that long, but just realize, like, you know, you can't drink an ocean all in one gulp. Actually might be kind of a dangerous analogy as I think of it. But all four versions are tabbed out over on the Patreon, and this tune, along with many others, will be uploaded every other week in preparation for my first book. And this book is full of, you know, tunes like this. So that's over on the Patreon. So the chords are relatively easy. You've got this G chord, moving to a D7, moving to a G7, moving to a G6, I guess, and then you end that G chord with your third finger on the B string there. And then we just resolve to our C chord there. After that, we go up to this kind of higher C chord, which is, I call it like a long A shape, because in first position, that's our A chord. But if you bring it up to the 5th fret, you're on a C chord there now. And then he has this really beautiful, you know, kind of sounds jazzy out of context, but beautiful. But let's check out what Rev Gary Davis is actually doing here. First two chords, pretty similar. Then the G7 starts with your 2nd fret on the A string, and then you hit the root on the 2nd thumb motion. So I would just loop that, get your brain used to doing it. Once you open up that E string, you're actually going to open up to your A string as well. So that sounds like this. This last part here, you're going to go back to the 2nd fret on the A string when you go to the 3rd fret on the B string there. But something changes. He doesn't just pinch it, he does this little thumb stumble. And that is really challenging at first. A common mistake I see is, instead of stumbling it like that, people pick twice, which will get you the same sound, but it doesn't quite give you the same feel. That's kind of hard, but that's what he's doing right before we go to C. When you go to this high C, make sure you first pinch that 5th fret on the 3rd string. And then you're just alternating from the 5th fret on the 3rd string to the 5th fret on the 4th string. Something really cool and subtle he does over this high C chord too is he uses that open E string to bring us back to that G chord. To our first variation. got this really kind of interesting, kind of like downward motion. That's the C chord, B flat, F, and that's the A flat. But really cool chords. And then we just go back to this first part. And we get to our first turnaround here. And that's same kind of 1, 2, 3 picking pattern. And go from an F chord to kind of this F sharp diminished. I've never played it quite like this. This is a very Rev Gary Davis chord shape. And then we go to our C chord, and then A7, D7, G, back to C. And then one more little leading tone. I use my thumb to bring us back to G. You could use your finger too. All right, so then the tune, it just kind of cycles through the first part again, and where we did that first variation. Now we're gonna do a new one. So this one's sick. It's so good. Okay, let me show you how to do that. This took me a long time to figure out. I would recommend using your thumb and your first finger to get this. You could switch to your fingers if you so choose, but I wouldn't recommend doing too many like hammer-ons and slides because it doesn't have the right energy. You know, you gotta get this thing with either your fingers or your thumb and finger. But here are the notes. That is such a weird line. That is so weird. It's weird because we use both sevenths in this one lick. So this has the flatted seventh, and then major seventh. It's just breaking all the rules, man. Now the second turnaround is actually exactly the same as the first one, except he takes it up the neck. So still an F chord, and the next chord is still a F sharp diminished, but it's this one. And then the next chord is still a C, but it's this one. And then it's still an A, but it's this one. And it's still a D, and a G. Resolving on C. He just takes them up to the next inversion. Alright, again, this is over on the Patreon, and every other week I'll be uploading some other folk guitar instrumental. So check that out. Thanks for watching this video. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and I don't know, practice this. It took me 10 years. See if you can beat me. I'm sure you can.